Good morning, everyone, and thanks to David Walker for inviting the team to the 2014 Art and Environment Conference, and thanks Dennis for chairing our session coming up. We're honoured to be here. I'd like to acknowledge the Washoe and Paiute peoples and seek permission to bring Walmajarri culture here. Paruku is a big desert lake. For all its singularity, it is a place that resonates in its history, in its present and future challenges, with the most important questions of contemporary Australian life. How are we to live with our shared history, our shared environments, our shared stories, in difference and respect? And how do we tell these stories together? Mandy Martin approached Kimberhood in 2010 with a proposal and funding for a project in the West Kimberley to address these questions through art, science and stories. This DVD is the result of what became known as the Paruku Project.
This is our land, and this book, it would show that, reflect all that through us working together with Cadia, working in two ways, you know, working with Cadia and still looking after our country.
Jim Bowler, the scientist who had been sifting the sands of Paruku for over 20 years and had found evidence of the ancient shoreline of what had been a megalake among the encroaching dune fields of the Great Sandy Desert, urged our small group who were visiting the lake for a few days in 2007 to use our collective skills and help him leave a lasting legacy for the Mullen community. Jim organised an archaeological dig at the lake, which revealed evidence of human occupation of great antiquity, with the discovery of an artefact dated between 45 and 52,000 years. Kim Hood also had had a long association with Paruku and the Tanami Desert through her family, and this was the subject of her prize-winning book, Craft for a Dry Lake. In 2004, she was invited to work with women at Mullen, which led to an ongoing project mapping the culture, stories and physical environment of the Paruku lakes. Painting for protection was at the heart of the aims and outputs of the project that we established with the Walmajarri. It proved to be the tool to help us protect language, culture, threatened species and much more. One output of the Paruku project was publishing Desert Lake. The mapping project, as well as many other of the stories of the traditional owners, were included in the book. Other outputs included a website, blogs, a DVD, 2 exhibitions, a print portfolio, a big sculpture project and an archive of the whole project. You see a part of that upstairs in the exhibition. Paruku has attracted many scientific programs over the years because it's an oasis in the desert and has a multitude of biota. Fish are an important source for the traditional owners, so they requested that the freshwater ecologist research the parasite infestation problem in fish. As arid zone ecologist Steve Morton said, Paruku is above all a place where science can be done with traditional owners, which is a unique privilege. In turn, the scientists saw the value of working with artists to open pathways to working with Indigenous people, including through the innovative work Kim was doing using eye tracker in combination with painted maps not only for the fish parasite program, but for recording fire patterns, plant species distributions, and so on. The Walmajarri also wanted us to take their story to the world, and we worked hard to achieve this through exhibitions in Alice Springs last year and this year at the Nevada Museum of Art. They also wanted to pass language, stories and knowledge of the country to the children. So every time we visited the community, we joined in the weekly culture sessions and worked with the kids to make a collaborative map about the ecology and the wildlife of the lake. The five strands of visual practice within the Paruku Project were tied to the environmental outcomes. I coordinated a history painting workshop as a way of connecting people and landscape, and those works are in the Paruku exhibition, including Fishing with Scientists by Shirley Umari. Anthropologist John Carty collected and translated the stories of the traditional owners, including Jamia Samuels. John also wrote about the important artists who have painted the lake, like Rover Thomas, Clumpy Pie, Boxer Milner, and Bessie Doonday. These also become a record and an archive for the community. Film and photography continued throughout the project, and here Veronica Lulu had requested that her story about Mungi, or samphire, be recorded. Caring for country is caring for stories and dreaming narratives. Sales of the artworks, the print folios, royalties from the books, and then the payment of artists' fees all help contribute income to the artists, which in turn facilitated the growth of the art centre. This team of volunteers, including Nebraskan writer Tom Lynch, Steve Morton, ecologist, and architect David Leese, who's going to raise his hand over there, who is also one of our donors and has a painting in the exhibition upstairs, is there ironing logos onto the Desert Lake shirts and bandanas, and David's also assisting Veronica sign prints for the print folio. Steve Morton and Guy Fitzhardinge, ecologist and anthropologist, mainly work with the rangers on feral weed and water management problems. The rangers saw painting as part of their duties in protecting country. John Carty and Bill Fox were witness to that process. Bill also moonlighted, writing a wonderful suite of poems for the book, which we're thrilled to be able to publish, which mirrored the Walmajarri dreaming narratives. The rangers decided that the original painting of Bungabidi needed to stay in their headquarters, so they painted a second version for this exhibition. As work progressed, Guy talked with the rangers about cattle grazing issues and horses being a dominant invasive species at present, destroying the habitat of the greater bilby. And the nesting sites of the brolga and other migratory bird species. Senior lawman Hanson Pye's Bungabidi Layers is about the archaeological site. Hanson's father, Clumpy Pie, passed on his dreaming narrative to his son. And here Hanson dances that story with the boys in the community. Hanson gave me permission to paint that story, which is also a place on the lake. And you'll see my sketch upstairs in the archive there, and also one of the paintings. And he named my series of multi-panel paper canvases incorporating locally sourced pigments and material, Falling Star or Gigi. I wasn't able to name them, he named them for me. David Leese painted alongside me at Falling Star and Handover Camp, and the ironing board in the background there, somewhere back there, you can see it, is my easel, not for him to slip off and iron more bandanas or shirts. You'll notice the use of ochres and mica and sand in my painting upstairs. Pigments are very important to me. At the launch in Alice Springs, Hanson Pye told the audience about Paruku and thanked me for painting his father's story. One final outcome for this project was to create an art and environment fieldwork model for other communities to use, one in which, as Shirley Brown says in the DVD, people can come together and work in two ways, Walmajarri and Cadia, black and white. My studio work often starts from within an environmental project, but is independent to that project. It incorporates other layers of meaning and intent. So when I paint the handover site, I'm also documenting traditional patchy burning practices at Barragu and caring for country. My interest in fires and burning specifically relate to the global drivers like climate change and mining affecting a community and a landscape like this. As the falling stars light the sky at night, the horizon of the Tanami all around twinkles with the lights of gold mines. How do we explain to the traditional owners who sincerely believe that the water came back to Barragu after the government handover of their land enabled them to care for their country again, that it's not the long cycles of wet and dry that have occurred since paleo times, but anthropogenic forces that are now more likely to destroy their ability to survive. Thank you.
You'll hear more about that in that project in the panel, but I consider it one of the most successful field practices and field projects I've ever seen, along with Lauren Bond's work in the Owens Valley that we're going to hear about later today.